Modern Warfare 3 Zombies is still canon. To some, this might seem self-evident, but recently the amount of comments, messages, DMs, tweets, etc. that I've received about this topic that I myself didn't think was even up for discussion has made me sit and rethink. With both Ava Jansen and the entity now being within the dark ether, I suppose I'd been underestimating just how confusing this might actually seem, especially given it seems like Requiem are by no means preparing to die off soon. So what are the problems and why is it still canon despite them? First off, what do I mean by canon? Well, in simple terms, the word basically just means an event or piece of information accepted as authentic to the wider narrative. For an example of this in the recent past, we have what happened with Star Wars, where after the Disney buyout, all of the old expanded universe material, some of which was contradictory, was made non-canon. Similarly for Call of Duty Zombies, we might say that the plot of World War II Zombies by Sledgehammer Games isn't canon to the Ether storyline and so on. So, if we are following things as we experienced them, we had the ending of Black Ops Cold War. The Requiem heads were arrested by Richtofen and Project Janus. Then we had Vanguard Zombies, which went way back in time and introduced Gabriel Kraft, though whether or not it had any fundamental staying power is questionable. But at least as a prequel, we could understand where it slotted in. So we have the prequel, and then the first act. Then Modern Warfare Zombies came out, which at the time appeared to be in the third act and ending of the story. In the intro to Modern Warfare Zombies, we find that the Requiem heads are long since dead, and Ethereum is seemingly gone from the world. How did this happen, we wonder? Throughout the narrative, we begin to piece a few things together. Following some events in the 90s after escaping imprisonment, they genetically engineered a child using Samantha Maxis' DNA, with Ravenov serving as the genetic father. Grey then carried this child to term as the surrogate mother, with the child born being none other than Ava Jansen, arguably the protagonist of Modern Warfare Zombies. Her unique Dark Ether DNA from her mother gave her a remarkable connection to the other realm, and it seems that at the moment of her birth, a twin was born in the Dark Ether, an entity of unimaginable power. In Modern Warfare Zombies, the relationship between Ava and this shadowy twin disabling reality is at the forefront, and ultimately Ava and Operation Deadbolt must slay the shadow of her cast beyond the veil in order to preserve reality. And if that was it, there would be no confusion. But it's what happens in the epilogue here that makes things a little weird. At the very end of Modern Warfare Zombies, we see Ava Jansen following leads relating to the disappearance of Requiem, and it leads her to the former headquarters of Project Janus. Liberty Falls. After a strange apparition appears, Ava is pulled through, with text on screen telling us that the story will continue in Black Ops 6. This was already a bit weird, as we knew it would continue in Black Ops 6 regardless. Since the ending of Black Ops Cold War, where we saw Peck attempting to charter a boat to free Requiem from their imprisonment, we knew we were going to be returning to that story in Treyarch's next main title. So how on earth would Ava Jansen fit in? All throughout Black Ops 6, a constant question I and many others pondered over is, when will they create Ava Jansen? When will she become a part of this storyline? At first, it seemed to me like it would have been on Terminus Island, some sort of immoral Project Janus experiment, but then nothing was mentioned for quite some time. Next, we had ample time to discuss it in Shattered Veil, where a lot of people thought it was finally going to be tackled, but nothing there either. Following that, I was certain it would occur in Reckoning, and while we do get a potential hint for the future, nothing manifests from it yet. I'll play that horrifying intel for you now.
What the hell? Carver M, Weaver G, Grey E, Maxis. Oh, Sam. You motherfucker! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Whoa. What are you doing? They took them! They harvested them! To what? Our DNA! Richthofen took our fucking DNA. It's all here. Me, Weaver, Carver, they have Max's eggs, Maya. Her fucking eggs. But how the hell they even have those? After she returned from the Dark Ether the first time, Richthofen, he ran tests on her. Maya, he tortured her. It was horrific. Weaver told me about it while we were locked up on Terminus Island. Even if I'd known earlier, it's not like I had the power to change anything back then. Oh, fuck, I was so useless! That has to be when they took them. She never told me. Why didn't she tell me? Maybe she didn't know. Oh, God, I can't. Grab what you need and trash the rest. What now? Now, I am going to make myself useful.
So, from this, it seems like Grey may indeed keep some of the DNA. Though how these would be still preserved and safe given their adventuring into the Dark Ether is a bit questionable. Regardless, after first hearing of this, I thought maybe we'd make Ava in the ending cutscene. But then instead, we got a Black Ops 7 teaser with the original crew back. And now, we are here. As we progressed through the Ashes of the Damned's main quest, there was a being that appeared called the Entity. She was purple, made of stars, much like the one in Modern Warfare Zombies, but spoke with a different voice entirely. Because of this, despite the physical similarities, it seems incredibly uncertain as to whether this was or wasn't the same being from Modern Warfare Zombies. After all, that entity was only born apparently when Ava Jansen was in the outside world, and was almost childlike in its perception. In contrast, this new entity was incredibly knowledgeable of the Dark Ether and the Warden, given the exposition in the map to explain what the characters had to do in order to free the Shadowsmiths and escape. Then, with the release of Paradox Junction, we see in its intro cutscene Ava Jansen is locked away by the Warden, with her seemingly weak and all zombified, with him drawing large amounts of power from her, extracting her essence in order to sustain himself, which shows just how powerful she is. This makes sense as the figure in the mirror that dragged in Ava Jansen at the ending of Modern Warfare Zombies in hindsight looked a lot like him. But functionally, what does this mean? How is Ava Jansen here in the Dark Ether in the 90s when she was pulled into the mirror in 2021? What of the entity existing? Is this some sort of chapter before Modern Warfare Zombies that we didn't know about? Or is something else going on? Are Requiem going to survive? Well, some of the answers to these questions can be gleaned from Paradox Junction's intel and quotes. I've gone into many of these in some recent videos, but to cut a long story short, linear time does not exist in the Dark Ether. Each dimension is like a ribbon, a Mobius strip, floating in the ocean of the Dark Ether, and so any point in time can be accessed by the Dark Ether, regardless of where it is in the linear path of that dimension's timeline. What is the actual result of this? Well, in short, it means that hypothetically the Warden was literally able to just pull in Ava from 2021, pull in Requiem from 1991, and this is totally fine for him. It makes no difference. However, there is a slight problem here. This creates a massive time paradox. If Ava Jansen was pulled into the Dark Ether in 2021, Ava obviously has to exist, meaning she was created by Requiem in 1993, shortly before Requiem sacrificed themselves. But in order for Requiem to be able to create Ava in 1993, they have to defeat the Warden and escape the Dark Ether. But for them to do that, they need Ava to be there, etc. It's a time loop, a cycle. Now, I'll outright say that whilst it's cool on the surface, it does leave a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. given Paradox Junction also basically says that the sacrifice of Primus and Ultimus was pointless, which seems quite disrespectful to tag the Toten's ending. But regardless of any personal feelings, it does seem very complicated. It makes sense why the community is finding it hard to track actually what's going on. The whole point of Black Ops Cold War was to simplify the story and bring it back to its roots so that newcomers can get on board with the story. But then with the following game going back in time, and then they go forwards in time, and then they've gone back in time again with Black Ops 6, and now with Black Ops 7 we're going outside of time in the Dark Ether, you can see how it's just become very messy for people to understand what's going on. I truly do think in hindsight, the games in between Black Ops Cold War and 6 should not have released. Black Ops 6 should have just been the next game following on from Black Ops Cold War, and people would have been following the story a lot easier, and also all of the lingering questions from Vanguard and Modern Warfare Zombies, regardless of what you think of the quality of the stories of those games. It has meant that there's so many things that need to be paid off that Treyarch are just not able to do all of, especially not in a way that feels satisfactory. That's not to say it's a mistake in the narrative though. In fact, to me, I think it's intentional. If we go back and look at Gray's reactions in the Modern Warfare Zombies cutscene of the video of her in 1996, just before the crew's sacrifice when Ava Jansen is around 3 years old, you could perceive it as her already having met Ava as an adult, which makes giving her up so much harder. That's why she was so hurt by this, because it wasn't just a child that she had only just birthed. She had come to know Ava Jansen, which we're about to see in Black Ops 7.
Ava, I went through this in my head so many times, but I'm still not sure what to say. But I can't do what I need to without trying to talk to you, even if it's just to say goodbye. I carried you, I gave birth to you, but your biological mother was Sam. Samantha Maxis. She was the kindest, bravest soul I have ever met, and I miss her so much. We were all exposed to the Dark Ether. Sam, most of all. One day she went into the Dark Ether and didn't come back. This is why you are so important. You are bonded to the Dark Ether. It's in your genes. No one knows whether that could be something wonderful or something dangerous. We are dying, but we can ensure that someone will watch over you. We agreed Ravenov would be the best choice, especially given his connection to you. I know the Jansens will have given you the best life, but giving you up at only 3 years old, I am so sorry. I'd like to hope there's a part of you that will remember me.
There is.
I love you, Ava. Goodbye.
It seems to me that this was definitely Treyarch's plan, at least to some extent, in Modern Warfare Zombies. After all, the entity mentions the Shadowsmiths by name after you defeat her.
Sister, he is searching for you. The Shadow Smiths will take you.
If it was just the complexity of Ava Jansen's cycle, this would all make total sense, even with the time loop. The only issue remaining is that we killed the entity in the Dark Ether before Ava Jansen was pulled in. There are X amount of possibilities that I could see that could totally resolve this. 1. The entity is actually only created when the Warden pulls her in, and so the one we see in Black Ops 7 is younger than the one we would kill in Modern Warfare Zombies. This feels a little weird based on how they act and sound, but could be possible. 2. The entity is actually just a projection of Ava Jansen, and she learns that she can make as many as she needs to, and the original entity was her unable to control her powers. This one makes more narrative sense objectively, but just doesn't feel quite right to me. Number 3. We didn't actually kill the entity in Modern Warfare Zombies, and it survived in some form. Beating the boss actually just allowed it to see reason. When Ava Jansen was taken in, the entity was able to reform, and the two were able to discuss properly, with the entity setting out to save Ava before the Warden locked it away in the Seal of Sorrows that we see in Ashes of the Damned. To me, this makes the most sense, but they will definitely have to explain things explicitly in a map in order for it to. In the intro cutscene for Paradox Junction, the Warden of course says to Ava Jansen that he disappeared for 1 second, and that she was then helping the crew let his slaves off the leash, aka the Shadowsmiths, which would imply that the entity has been a projection of Ava Jansen all along. As for the entity sounding different though, this may simply just be a case like Samantha Maxis in Origins, where for some reason she had an American accent instead of a German one, which was then reverted come Black Ops 4, which Jason Blundell said was intentional in a recent stream with Noah J456, so I have no idea what possible implication that means. Or perhaps it was simply that the original voice actress just wasn't available and so they had to recast, or perhaps, and this is personally what I believe, it was simply just a matter of keeping Ava Jansen's identity a secret. If they had the same voice doing the entity, we would have drawn that connection straight away, instead of us taking until Paradox Junction to properly suss it out, although we were theorizing before, we weren't exactly certain. At the ending of Black Ops 7, with Ava and the entity's help, Requiem will return to the real world and both create Ava Jansen, and likely realize that they need to leave the world behind in order to prevent the Ethereum in their bodies from dooming it again. Due to their prolonged Dark Ether exposure, after they escape the Dark Ether at the ending of Black Ops 7 Zombies, I believe they will become the last living link to the realm. Their bodies essentially become like Ethereum itself. Them being there would rip a hole between the veil, which is why when Zakhaev throws the canisters that's probably the Ethereum harvested from them, it starts the outbreak. They had no other choice but to sacrifice themselves for the greater good of the world. And currently we know that Dr. Strauss and Peck are even actively trying to get Requiem out of the Dark Ether, as per Paradox Junction's intel.
Hello? Hello? If there is anyone out there.
No, not anyone. Weaver, the rest of those idiots.
Who else would I be talking to?
We don't know who might be listening.
Stop your incessant fiddling and let the maestro work, Peck. As I was saying, hello, Weaver et al. Are you out there? This is Strauss. We are coming to you through my new inter-ether communicator.
My inter-ether communicator. This is all my idea.
And yet you needed me to build it? Anyway, it took us a while to work out what happened to you. I thought you'd been vaporized, kaput.
How Wiedersehen. Or as I hoped, you'd been zapped somewhere horrible. For the slow, painful death you dipshits deserve.
And, as much as I hate to admit it, Peck was right. About the zapping. I remain hopeful that you are all still alive.
We know you're somewhere in the Dark Ether, but where the... fuck! The signal's drifting. Here, let me...
Ow! Quit touching that, you break it!
But it isn't working. Oh, Strauss, you are a total waste of oxygen and resources.
If it isn't working, then what's that flashy, blinky light? Huh? Ha! You're the ignoramus.
What light? What the fuck? Again?
Scheiße! That was the last of the crab-apple juice.
So, this recent Peck and Strauss radio seems to be setting the stage that the crew will get rescued by the end of the game. Maybe Totenreich will further develop this with more direct contact, since they only sent a note in a bottle in the practically infinite ocean of the Dark Ether, and it doesn't seem that they ever received it. Or maybe if the crew did, considering it's intel after all, which I guess in canon they collect, this could lead to dialogue referencing them hearing the intel on Totenreich. Although it's weird narratively for them to not mention hearing it on Paradox Junction if they actually did, since surely that would be huge news for them. Maybe it could just be down to their memory problems that they're currently experiencing. So I imagine this event will come to fruition in the final map, and we will even have an opportunity to examine which ending is canon here. More than likely, it's Richtofen's ending of Reckoning, as Sam's victory would spell doom for the world with her Aetherella-like powers, and the quotes on the map do basically say if she gets the infinite power of Samantha Maxis that she will wreak havoc on the world. So if the Richtofen ending is the canon one, then maybe Peck and Strauss could be stationed at Janus Towers with the help of Janus Richtofen, and that's how they will confirm his ending as canon on the final map, and they will use this Dark Ether technology to free the Requiem crew from the Dark Ether, leaving the original crew behind in the realm. By the way, I've gotten a lot of comments about this, so I just thought I would point it out. It does seem like Peck's voice actor has been recast yet again for those asking about it, and this new take on him seems less nuanced than before. It will definitely take some getting used to. He has a smoother American accent, less gritty than before, but he's also written differently too, to be more of a brazen asshole, kind of undoing some of the arc he's been undertaking. Anyways, once the Warden is defeated, so long as Requiem are returned back to 1991, and Ava Jansen is returned back to 2021, the loop will be closed, and the paradox effectively made null and void. Everything back in its proper place. So that is likely our endgame, resolving the plot threads of Black Ops 7 and Modern Warfare Zombies in one go, while still allowing new plots to continue on in a sealed Dark Ether. They escape, the Dark Ether is sealed. The original crew are left behind, battling in the realm, protecting it from the inside. And maybe that inside realm is where the future game could head. For example, if Richtofen betrays us come the ending of the game and becomes a godlike character ruling the Dark Ether, and could become the antagonist in Black Ops 8 or whatever the next game is called. Anyways, that's wild speculation. All in all though, everything currently in the storyline is setting the stages for everything in Modern Warfare Zombies to happen. It's setting the stages for the Requiem crew to escape the realm, for Ava Jansen to be born, and them to die. Technically, they don't even have to escape in 1991, they could come out in 1993 and birth her very soon after. It really depends on if Grey has to undergo the full term of pregnancy. I mean, a Dark Ether child is an abnormality which may not have such a long period. Who knows? Now, some have been suggesting that Modern Warfare Zombies may simply be a divergent timeline, and thus is a sort of bad ending that we will correct. Even if we consider what Vatharion told us though, this would still be a bad ending. Ava's world, with Ravenov, her father who she was finally beginning to build a relationship with, her friends, her entire normal life that she worked so hard to fix, would be effectively erased. Requiem would get to live on, but the child who was meant to be Samantha's legacy would have no timeline to go back to. Even if she could return to some idealized world, it wouldn't be hers. To the Ravenov of her world, she would just be forever missing, and he would be left to grow old without ever learning what happened. This would be a far worse ending in my book. And the big reason why people are saying that Modern Warfare Zombies may just be an alternative timeline is because new timelines have been introduced. The original characters all have backstories from separate timelines. And like we've seen in the Vietnam and Afghanistan side missions for Dempsey and Nikolai, there are even alternate versions of Weaver, etc. out there. However, I have recently speculated that alternate timelines and thus a multiverse may not actually exist in the current storyline as we previously perceived it, because it seems we finally know why the original crew are back, and it seems that they have actually been spawned in as fragments of Samantha Maxis' memories when she was absorbed and died in the Dark Ether, creating the Paradox Junction time loop and the twins, representing her Ether and Dark Ether timeline selves. And if her memories were able to create life like the twins, then that life could have also been the original crew. But maybe these memories, since they're distorted versions of her memories, which is why this new original crew is sort of a mixture between Ultimus and Primus, then her memories being so powerful, the cataclysm that shattered time in the Dark Ether and brought a Cambrian explosion in its wake could actually have also built entire worlds for them inside of the Dark Ether. Their backstories may have actually happened, but have only been manifestations of a child, a little lost girl, the Samantha. And these could just be pocket dimensions inside of the Dark Ether, similar to what we've seen on Paradox Junction, a memory of Samantha's experience on Newtown, or Totenreich being a memory of hers from the Eisendrach /Origin /Call of the Dead. And if that is the case, the multiverse may not be back. These might just be her memories, and may only exist inside of the dark ether. Her memories sprawled all over the realm. So that would mean Modern Warfare Zombies cannot be another timeline unless it's some sort of weird distorted pocket of her memories, but she didn't even exist at this point in time. But I guess that doesn't really matter with how the fact that time no longer seems to matter in the dark ether because it doesn't flow linearly. So this seems to wrap all of that up. The only loose threads will be why Strauss needs to die with them, and what happened to Maya. For Strauss, we know he was involved in significant Ethereum experiments during Black Ops Cold War and on Terminus Island, and he even became borderline addicted to Ethereum, as intel in Black Ops Cold War said he apparently liked the smell a little too much, which explains why he looks like a crackhead. Come Black Ops 6, a deep fall from this once profound scientific coded mind. Though the Ethereum might be interacting with his body in a different way to being submerged in the dimension itself, it will still be a significant amount, and so he may need to sacrifice his life with the others for that same reason. As for Maya, currently she is actively having disputes with Weaver in the dialogue, and thanks to Richtofen's manipulations, is being made to feel like an outsider. Check out my recent video on Richtofen's new grand scheme in Black Ops 7 for more information. Meanwhile, she also now has both an emotional and a psychic connection to Dempsey, with both of their essence being retrieved together through their experience of getting their memories back. And so, with no family left on the outside, she may well choose to stay in the realm with Dempsey, that she seems to be growing a romantic bond with. Alternatively, I could totally see the Warden killing Maya towards the end of the last map, or otherwise, potentially even sooner, involving some sort of sacrifice to ensure her story concludes. Maybe she dies in order for the rest to be free, because unlike her, who she constantly questions what her role in all of this is, the crew can have a life on the outside. Maybe her role is just that, their freedom. At the same time, she does have a connection with Peck, seeing as he is the reason she even freed the Requiem crew from Terminus to begin with. So there's some potential there. But she doesn't exactly super like Peck, but has more care for him than the others in a weird way. With all of that being said, I hope that helps to clarify some of the evidence that confirms Modern Warfare Zombies is still canon. Modern Warfare Zombies is not a divergent timeline, we are seeing a time loop being set up. Modern Warfare Zombies is indeed part of this bigger picture, and is not just going to be discontinued or disregarded. It's an integral part in all of this. If you would like to learn more, check out the recent video I did on how time works in the dark ether. Or for something that's eerily reminiscent, check out my recent video of Blundell confirming a long-held suspicion about the cycle and the Dury's clock. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. I'll see you with plenty of coverage soon, since Treyarch marketing is about to begin. Bye.